If you're new to yoga and trying to overcome some pain in your physical body or trying to overcome painful behaviors related to an unseen or untouchable pain inside of you, that which you don't know how to navigate just yet, there are key reasons as to why it's difficult to navigate that kind of pain. One of those is that we may be coming from a place in the brain that is constantly triggering memories that are subconscious and cause our nervous system to have a reflex to reach for that which is going to soothe the pain. Because it's easier to soothe it than it is to understand it, particularly if we missed out on the chance to develop some of the inner life skills that are really available to us when we cultivate them. That like basket of life skills that helps us to really address the emotions, the body, the mind, the spirit, our journey, the journey of healing that lies ahead. Another thing that happens when we have a painful behavior cycle is our body carries the residue of that painful behavior cycle. And as we're carrying that residue, it's like the body is also more burdened. Well, how do we overcome that? What kinds of practices or poses can we do to help overcome that? There is a process involved in that where we're reducing that which is burdening and we're freeing up that which has courage and stamina and strength and fortitude. So this practice is about that journey. And I'm glad that you're here. Let's go to practice now, and I will see you in the session. Thank you. Welcome for practice. We're going to start with a simple seat, just a way to come into a sense of grounding. So please take a seat for yourself. You can rest your hand in your lap. Let your eyes close. We have the opportunity to feel transformed in the next half an hour, in the next 5 minutes, in the next minute or two, right? By giving ourselves a chance to really be here and to take to heart the practices and the teachings of yoga. And yoga is inherently a path and a practice of recovery, renewal, resolution. All the opportunities are here. Allow yourself to breathe in with appreciation that you have arrived. And as you exhale, release any thoughts of self-doubt or apprehension about, can I do yoga? How will I do yoga? Will I be any good at yoga? It's natural to have doubts when something is new to us, or if we've been away from a practice for a time and we're coming back. It's natural to feel some doubt or apprehension. Let's transmute that into discernment and know that you'll just do the practice that is yours to do today in your capacity. As you breathe in, again, appreciation for the fact that you've arrived here. And then as you breathe out, releasing any unnecessary apprehension. And let's breathe in a quality of self-respect. And breathe out the quality of self-judgment, which is also the habit of self-judgment. So breathe in a sense of self-respect, and that we can just organize our radio broadcast mind to be tuned to the station of self-respect and curiosity and openness, and turn down the channels or the volume knobs of self-judgment or self-negation, self-criticism. And now let's simply notice the movement of the breath as it is, however it is coming and going. The first thing in watching anything in nature is to observe it. Right? If you were watching birds checking out the blueberries in your garden, which is right over here, you would just be watching them. You wouldn't be telling them how to do it. And so we're just watching the breath coming and going, just like observing nature. Now, a unique capacity for our species is that we can acknowledge that we're watching ourselves do something. We have the capacity to see ourselves. We can witness ourselves. We can also come to know ourselves. And so as you're watching the breath coming and going, now I'd like you to partner with your body's intelligence to make the breath really even. You can imagine being on a swing set and that you swing as far back as you do forwards, generally speaking, very balanced, and that feels better to you. So we want the same for the inhale, a kind of inhale rising up, exhale releasing, and those two can be more balanced to each other. And if your breath cycle is 8 or 4 or 2, whatever the length of the breath, you can lightly count. You might even say to yourself, breathing in 1, 2. Maybe you say breathing out 1, 2, and it's equal. Perhaps yours is a 4 count or an 8 count. Notice the effort to balance the breath. That's already an effort. It's a mental concentration. It's a physical effort. It's intended to be a graceful effort. It also might be one of the first signs for you today of how capable is your mind of concentrating. And the good news is the more you balance the breath, the greater your capacity for concentration will actually be. So now let's bring the hands to the heart. And I'll offer a prayer that this practice is nourishing. May this practice nourish your life. May it nourish the prana that rises upwards to the mind. May it nourish the prana that descends downward for elimination. May it nourish the prana that circulates outwards to the encompassing of the whole body. May this practice nourish your eyes and your ears. May it nourish your mind and therefore your speech. And may the practice nourish you as a soul. May you rest in that nourishment. Having been nourished, may we also then nourish others. Om Ayo Dehi Pranam Dehi Om Apanam Dehi Dhyanam Dehi Om Chakshor Dehi Shrotram Dehi Om Mano Dehi Vacham Dehi Om Atmanam Dehi Pratishtam Dehi Om Mam Dehi Mai Dehi Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. And you may bow your head to your heart. Release your hands, and whether you're sitting in a chair or sitting on the floor, we're going to start with some movements that help to open up the spine and the breath and give us a sense that, in fact, we can feel nourished, we can be deeply nourished. So starting with your hands out to the side, turn your palms face out. And then inhale, raise your arms up just to shoulder height. Exhale your hands to your heart. Inhale the arms up. Exhale, press out and down. Imagine the spine and the inner body rising up. Turn your palms face out. Inhale, stretch wide. Encompass the space that you dwell in. Exhale, hands to the heart, coming back to center in your own heart. Inhale, rise up like piercing through the mind. And exhale, press out. As you press out, reduce things like self-judgment, self-doubt, self-criticism. And as you inhale, sweep the arms wide, opening up to self-acceptance, self-appreciation, self-respect. And exhale, hands to the heart. Inhale, press up, piercing through the mind. And exhale, press out. This time, place your left hand on the floor or on a chair beside you. Turn your right arm up. Inhale. And then exhale, side bend to your left. There you go. And let's keep the right hip grounded, whether you're sitting on a chair or on the floor. Let's come back to pacing the breath so you can count the length of the inhale and the length of the exhale. And see if they can be relatively equal to each other. Do not be perfectionistic about it. That won't be helpful. As you next exhale, tone the right low belly and bring yourself up to center. And then inhale, open your right arm and turn your head to your left. And then exhale, come back to center. Rest your hands on your knees for a moment and just notice the difference right side to left side. Imagine that you're kind of sloughing off the residue of self-criticism or self-harm or self-judgment. And take the right hand to the floor, open your left arm out to the side. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, side bend to your right. As you come over, lengthen the left side of your waist. And as you're breathing in, expand the left side torso. On the exhale, you can squeeze the lower belly gently, squeezing out self-doubt, apprehension, the habit of self-criticism. Breathe in appreciation, respect, even you could try on an attitude of warmth towards yourself. And then exhale, squeeze the left low belly, come up to center. And inhale, open your left arm, turn your head to your right. And exhale, both rest both hands in your lap and notice what you're sloughing off. What are you letting go of? What is being disembarked? What's going downstream? Now we're going to take that same action and place it with the breath. So each part has a movement. And the importance of synchronizing the breath with the movement is that we're synchronizing not only the orchestra of the body with the conductor of the breath, but we're also practicing what is called top-down, bottom-up processing in the brain. And that means that we're recruiting the neocortex to be a resource for us. We're using the breathing and moving and sensing, so the lizard brain is there. And together, those two actions are calming down the middle brain where the amygdala lives. And the amygdala is like the fear detection center in your brain. So it's like a smoke detector in your house. Alongside of that, the amygdala has a friend called the hippocampus. And that hippocampal memory storage is often tossing up memories and images for you. Once you feel a flinch in the amygdala, there's a memory or a storage unit that comes up and says why you should feel what you're feeling. So we can actually be stimulating ourselves all day long with unhelpful and often untrue or outdated memories or perceptions of ourselves. So when we do top-down, bottom-up processing, which means mindful coordination, pacing, synchronizing with bottom-up, breathing, sensing, moving, we're giving the brain a way to recalibrate. And this cannot be understated. It's so important to recognize that we can do this during a yoga practice. And it's a simple thing, but it's going to give more strength to your neocortex, the part of your brain that knows where is the present moment and in what context is anything happening. Whereas the limbic brain doesn't know the present moment and is heavily influenced by past. So take the right arm out to the side. Now for the length of your inhale, raise up. For the length of your exhale, side bend left. For the length of your inhale, reach with your right arm. Exhale, rise up using the full length of the exhale. Inhale, open your right arm, turn your head to your left. Exhale, lower your right hand to the floor. Next inhale, raise your left arm. Exhale, side bend to the right. Inhale, make the left side waist longer. Exhale, rise up. Good. Inhale to open. Exhale, left hand down. We're going to add to the sequence. So inhale, right arm up alongside your right ear. Exhale, side bend left. You breathe in, lengthen the side of your torso. Exhale, rise up to center. Now inhale, open to your right with your right arm. Turn your head left. And exhale, twist to your right. Walk your left hand across your right knee. Inhale back to center. Exhale in the rhythm of your breathing. Inhale, raise your left arm, still synchronizing. Exhale, side bend to your right. Inhale, rise up. Okay, exhale to open. Inhale, twist to your left. Exhale back to center. We're going to add to the sequence again. So inhale, raise your right arm. Exhale, side bend. Inhale, rise up both arms. Exhale, twist to your right. Inhale, rise up both arms. Exhale, hands to the heart. Inhale, left arm up. Exhale, side bend right. Keep synchronizing according to the length of your breath cycle. Inhale, rise up to center. Exhale, rotate to your left. Inhale, raise both arms. Exhale, hands to the heart. And pause and acknowledge yourself. Let the breath relax and notice the echo of your efforts in your body. And then release your hands. And now let's come to your hands and knees. And if you're sitting in a chair, what you're going to do is put a second chair in front of you. We're going to be practicing the downward dog pose. And for those of us doing it on the floor or in the chair, the most important part of downward dog is going to be how the arms, shoulders, heart, and spine are working together. So if you're sitting in one chair, you're going to walk out to the second chair, place your hands up on that chair for the downward dog pose arms. We're doing it on the floor. We're going to come over to tabletop pose, that is kneeling pose, like this. Place your hands so they're shoulder width apart. And then curl your toes under, raise your hips high, and reach back with the knees bent or with the legs straight. It's going to be up to you. But as you're reaching back, I want you to reach your hips up away from your hands. Press your hands down and forward on your yoga mat. And as you're doing the chair dog pose, the same idea. You've got the hips reaching back away from the hands lengthening out from the heart to the fingertips. So whether we have the knees bent in this dog pose like I'm showing here, or we have the legs straight, or you're sitting in a chair, the point is the spine, the heart, the arms. Notice that as you breathe in, you cannot initiate your breath from the chest. It has to come from the lower belly. And that means that it's a more grounding inhalation. Now, as you next exhale, if you're in the dog pose, lower your knees down to the floor and walk back to a simple kneeling position so you know where you are. As you come to kneel, rest your hands in your lap. If you were in the chair version of the pose, walk your hands also back down to your lap. And pause a moment to notice how your body's feeling. Now we're going to repeat the pose. And so one thing that we'll look at now is when we move the spine with the arms overhead, we're basically reaching, like we're aspiring to something. We're reaching for something when the arms go like this. Like when you were a kid, you reached up to be, let's say, picked up, or you reached up for a certain treat or something. You reached up when you wanted something. When we're reaching like this, it's also like, what am I aspiring to do? Right? So when you walk your hands out over the upper back of the chair, or when we reach down like this with the arms into the earth, let's imagine, okay, what's my aspiration? What am I hoping that I can do and or cultivate in myself? What is that going to be? So place your hands in shoulder width mode. Curl your toes under. Let's think of it for a moment. What is your aspiration? And then can breathe in to the lower belly. And then raise your hips high for downward dog pose. Or if you're using the chair version, walk the hands forward to the upper back of the chair. And as you lengthen the spine, if you're using the one we call downward dog pose on the floor, you've got the effect of gravity that you're going to be working with. If you're in a chair, you have the effect of the upper back softening by gravity as well. So let's keep the arms strong. Reach from your heart with that aspiration in your heart. And on the exhale, let's see if you can soften any unnecessary tension, any, let's say, apprehension about your aspiration. And then as you next exhale, touch your knees down and sit back to kneeling. Find your place. If you had your hands over the upper back of the chair in front of you, then walk your hands back to your lap. And let's take notice. What's transpiring here? What's changing for you? And then please come to lying on your back with your knees bent and your feet hip distance apart. Okay, when you come down onto your back, the knees and feet and hips can all be parallel. And I know for some of you coming down to the floor, sometimes that's a journey. If you've had a hip replacement, if you have knee pain, if you're new to yoga and getting down to the floor is difficult, then I'm going to ask you to congratulate yourself that you got down to the floor. And we have the knees bent, the feet are hip distance apart. We're going to be working on the strength at the back of the pelvis, which means the openness at the front side. So press down through both heels. In the same way that the arms have a reaching reflex, the legs have reflexes too. As you press down, inhale, raise your hips up. Squeeze the muscles at the back of the pelvis so that when you're pressing up, you are strengthening the back side of the pelvis and you're opening the front side here. Now, the determination of pressing down, it's like strength, endurance, stamina, commitment, whatever that might be for you. Breathe in as you raise the hips. As you exhale, lengthen your tailbone towards your knee. Now on the inhale, press your upper arms down more firmly and tuck the shoulder blades under the heart. So now you're engaging the legs for stamina, for example. We're engaging the upper arms and the heart, maybe for that aspiration that you mentioned to yourself a few moments back. And as you exhale, roll the spine down. Give yourself a hug on the front side. Lower your hips down. And then relax. So it's a big thing, right? You're pressing up away from gravity. We should not, understate what that means. We're pressing up away from gravity, which is, thank God it's here because it's holding us to the planet. It's a very strong force. That's why when we jump, we don't go all that high. We drop something, it falls to the ground. But when we're doing yoga practice and we're pushing down against gravity to go up, we're building bone density. That's one helpful thing. But we're also building kind of like a mental strength or determination to do this thing. That means I'm going to move outside of the gravitational pull of just lying still, for example. So if for some people, a gravitational pull is like ruminating in the fridge, rummaging about in the pantry, reaching for things to sedate, medicate, self-soothe. And if that has a strong gravitational tug and you find yourself going back to it again and again, this kind of pose can actually help you to be like, wait, I can press up out of the strength of gravity to some extent. That means you can reach up out of the gravitational force field of a habit that's not helpful to you. And so let's do it again. You're going to press into both heels and all 10 toes. As you press down, find your leg muscles and then root down. Inhale, raise up. Even if it's been a long time since you've done this kind of pose or this practice, of course, it was just like 4 seconds ago, but if it was a long time before that, I want you to put in your strength and determination. And please keep breathing. Press the upper arms down, lift your chest and your heart. And though we might all be facing some difficulty in the body, let's put our attention on the effort we're making rather than on the narrative about any difficulty we're facing in the body. Breathe in appreciation, respect, endurance, stamina, commitment. As you press the arms down, connect back to the heart aspiration that you have for yourself. And then as you next exhale, go ahead and wrap your arms to give yourself a hug. That's the beginning of rolling the spine down. As you roll down, again, let's come to just complete relaxation. Notice how your body was working and now it comes to ease. This pose is also really helpful because most of us spend our day in more flexion and less extension when it comes to the spine. We're more often in flexion. We're sitting at a desk, we're sitting on a chair, we're sitting in the couch, we're sitting in the car. And so we don't have as much spinal or hip extension as we would want. So we're getting both upper back extension and hip and pelvic extension there. So let's do it again, third time. As we say, third time's a charm. Press down with your heels and toes. Find your leg strength. Tell yourself you can do it. And then inhale, raise up to the best of your ability. Make the breath smooth. Lengthen your tailbone. Press into your upper arms. As you raise up with your hips, don't turn your head like the teacher just did. I was looking at you with admiration, but don't turn your head in this pose. As you raise up with your hips, just try to sense, okay, the strength, determination, grounding. As you press with the upper arms to lift your heart, that can be a little quality of aspiration. And let's do this. Inhale, reach your arms up. And exhale for the hug. Roll your spine down. Try to come down one vertebrae at a time. You will build strength by doing this pose. Now let there be ease once again. Relax. Now we have the feet and knees already placed hip distance apart here. So let's keep that distance between the two thighs and drop both knees down to your right. So as they drop down, one comes down possibly all the way to the floor. It may not make it all the way. In that case, you can put a blanket or something else to support it. But as you come down, the other one's not going to quite reach the floor, right? It's not built that way. So from your left hip, reach into your left thigh and give a little squeeze on the back of the hip. So you're getting some of that spinal and hip extension right here. Reach your left arm overhead on the diagonal. Take hold of my little bookshelf here. And try breathing down the left side of your torso. It's granting permission for peace or ease or resolution. And with your next exhale, lower your left arm and start rolling your upper back spine down first, and then the mid torso, and then the abdomen, and let the lower belly bring the knees up to center. So the knees are coming up, not because you're thinking, I should lift my knees, but because we're toning the lower belly. It's kind of like the steering wheel on a ship is round like this, and they turn it, and it turns the whole ship, but it's a small wheel turning an entire ship. Just like your car, your driver's wheel there turns the whole thing, even with small movements. So we want to be turning from raising the knees back up from the lower belly. Let's take both knees down to the left. And so what you're going to find here is you have to press from your right hip through your right thigh. Try to get the hip a little bit into extension. That means that from a bent place like this, you're going to move the hip forward. You reach the right arm up on the diagonal. You breathe in. Know that you're unwinding some postural habits right now. That also means unwinding mental and emotional habits too. One more time, inhale, give a little squeeze to the right butt muscles. And then exhale and unwind. Now you're going to come like this, upper torso, mid torso, come into the lower belly here, roll your abdomen to the right to pick your knees up. Now place the feet so they're hip distance apart once again. Get ready for it. You have the strength. On the inhale, press into your heels, raise up to bridge pose. This time we'll press the upper arms down. And if possible, place your forearms and your palms on the floor. Now, it's possible that for some of you, lifting up is a little bit easier after the stretch that we just did, because we released some of the tension on the front of the hips. And that's going to make the back of the hips more capable of doing the job of lifting up away from gravity. That's a really important principle to keep in mind. And I'll repeat it again once we come down. And now as you inhale, raise your arms up to the ceiling. Exhale, give yourself a little hug and roll the spine down. And then deeply relax. So what I was saying is we unburden some of the tightness on the front of the hips by doing our little stretch. And then it might make the bridge pose feel easier to go up. So the principle there is when you release a burden, when you release tension, vitality can come through better. When we release the habit of self-harm or self-criticism, our aspirations, our determination can actually come through better. We're not going to be more determined by criticizing ourselves to be more determined. We're going to feel more determined and motivated when we're not burdened by the inner critic that we're fighting with every second. Let's put the soles of the feet together and take the knees out to the side to stretch the inner thighs and see if the lower belly can relax and receive the inhalation. Notice to what extent you can release any unnecessary tension in the lower belly. Relax and receive the inhalation down low. It's best if you're not overarching your lower back here. And also if the ribs aren't just flaring up towards the ceiling. This is a pose called Supta Baddha Konasana, reclining, bound angle pose. Now with an inhale, tone your lower belly and picture that you're going to pick up your knees by using the strength of the lower belly. So inhale. Good. Good, good. And then exhale, touch your feet flat to the floor. Great. Now is a good time to take a blanket to roll up or under your knees. One way to do that is to fold your blanket and then roll it like a sleeping bag. And then place that underneath your knees. That'll keep the knees from hyperextending during the resting pose and might also help your lower back to feel more comfortable. And then we can take the other blanket for those who would like. And you can cover. Sometimes we're only covering for the purpose of feeling grounded. Other times we're covering up for the purpose of feeling warm enough. I like to have my feet also be grounded. So I just use my foot dexterity there to cover up. And so this is for grounding and for resting and feeling like, okay, now you've done this particular bit of hard work. Probably what's difficult more than the physical is keeping the mind here and not having it wander into criticism or lists of things to do and so on. That's the most difficult part of yoga for many people. So having done that, we're going to be resting. So you close your eyes. And with your inhale, I'd like you to squeeze your feet as if you're making two fists. And then exhale, relax your feet. Now inhale, pull your toes towards your head. Toes and feet towards your head. And exhale, relax there. And inhale, squeeze your knees, calves, thighs, and feet. And exhale to relax. Now inhale to squeeze your feet, your legs, your pelvis, your hip. And exhale to relax. And then inhale, squeeze your feet, your legs, your hips, your pelvis, and your fists. And exhale to relax. Each time you relax, releasing something, tension, a burden. This time we're going to squeeze the feet, legs, hips, pelvis, fists, and elbows. Exhale to relax. Now we'll also include the upper arms and the shoulders. Breathe in. Exhale, relax. Now we'll include both legs and arms, all four limbs, and the trunk and the abdomen and the face. Breathe in. Relax. And twice more. Breathe in. And exhale, release. Last one, breathe in. And exhale to relax. Let's turn the palms face up. Keep your eyes closed. Make a little prayer for yourself. May I be free from pain. May I be free from self-doubt. May I have ease and joy. May I have inner kindness and peace. May I be free from pain, free from self-criticism and self-doubt. Be at ease. May I have an inner sense of peace and kindness. Allow your entire body to deeply relax. Muscles and bones, the breath, your heart, your mind. the body, the prana that your practice cultivated is able to move freely to nourish you from the inside. Given yourself a period of rest, notice what it's like to grant yourself permission to be still. And let's imagine that in the movement of our practice, we were able to separate, a bit like how vinaigrette salad dressing does. Some ingredients fall to the bottom, some are in the middle, and others rise to the top. And so let what is most valuable to you come to the top of your awareness. Slightly deepen your breathing, wiggle your toes, your fingers. You can roll your head side to side. Let's go ahead and bend the knees. Roll to your side. Come back up to sitting. Now, as we take a seat, I'd like to propose something to you that I think could be valuable in how you then take teaching with you. So first, come into the seat that is comfortably yours, and if that's back in a chair, that is okay. If it's on the floor, that's wonderful too. So when you come into your seat, go ahead and rest your hands in your lap. A way that I look at the therapeutic journey, and if we imagine that we just shook the body like salad dressing and then we laid it down, and some things settle to the bottom, some things are in the middle, some are on the top. Regardless of what those actually are in a vinaigrette, let's think about it this way. Hopefully we have clarity at the top. We've regained a sense of being in our clear ability to see ourselves in a loving way. Hopefully in this midsection, we have a sense of our openness to the journey, our capacity for the journey, whatever the healing journey is, and that we can come to this with respect for the vitality of the body itself. What falls to the bottom, I know in a vinaigrette, that's like herbs and spices and things, but let's imagine now that whatever needs our attention in terms of the healing that is hidden beneath the surface of daily life awareness and all the stuff we're doing, whatever needs our attention beneath the surface, may it come to be known gently. May we be able to greet it when it rises. And may it be the stuff that's actually about our deepest healing, rather than constantly shaking ourselves up all day long by fight or flight, freeze, submit, or by dousing ourselves with things that self-medicate or self-negate. And then we aren't really sure what needs healing. Is it this behavior that I'm doing because I'm in pain? Or is it something else that's actually needing healing so that I won't be in pain, reaching for the behavior that I'm using to manage the pain? Right, so I hope this is coming through clearly. Well, let's take a moment to sense that. We can have a clear view. We can have vitality, and therefore the courage to look at the pieces that need our attention. They may be unresolved emotions, unmet needs, experiences of pain. And can you picture yourself not suppressing those or medicating them? And if we learn how to greet these unresolved pains or wounds and we resolve them, we will not need the behavior that we're using right now to numb that pain. And I believe this is possible for everyone. Let's raise the hands to the heart. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you very much. Namaste. You may release your hands as you're ready to. You're welcome to open your eyes and just appreciate yourself for being here and taking the time for this practice. This last message I'm giving you, I don't give you like in the middle or right up front because sometimes we're then distracted, we're chewing on it too much. But the message, once again, in a little nutshell, is our painful behaviors are behaviors trying to solve for pain that usually lives under our surface awareness. And we can develop the vitality, the courage, and the perspective to meet those pains for the purpose of resolving them. When we become free from that kind of pain, we don't need the painful behaviors that we're using to medicate the pain anymore. It is helpful to release those painful behaviors as much as you can because they're causing a secondary kind of pain, the pain of hating yourself for having the behaviors, or the pain of self-doubt that you'll never get over the behavior. So it is helpful to address how we can reduce the behaviors, but we can't really reduce them without knowing how are we on the inner body going to greet the pain that is held there, that has been, reflexively reaching for the painful behaviors. So that is my message for you today, and I hope that you find some solace in that. This is a painful reflex that we're playing out, and it's causing more pain, but there's a way. There is a way to resolve that and to come back to this so we can address what is needing our loving attention. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me for this practice. I hope it was helpful to you. And if I can be helpful to you in resolving the painful behaviors, those behaviors that are trying to solve for pain that actually needs loving attention, if I can help you with that journey, please let me know. We do have an online program called Hunger, Hope, and Healing, and it's a program where I give support to women online in a weekly basis. We have support calls, we have a yoga class, we have what we call tea time, where we get together to have a short check-in time, and we also have a learning library of things that you can really understand. Where did that pain come from? Why is the painful behavior so difficult to change? And how do you go about taking the steps to eradicate the painful behavior that is now causing the self-doubt, the self-hatred, the self-harm, and raise up the life skills that you have needed to address that behavior and to regain your vitality, your health, and your wholeness, your whole centered self as a person. Here's one of my kitties. This is Bindi. You can't see her Bindi on her face because she's not showing you right now, but let's see. There's her Bindi. Yeah, hi Bindi. Okay, thank you for being here. If you have questions or comments, go ahead and leave those down below the video. And if you want to talk with me about Hunger, Hope, and Healing, leave that comment down below the video. If the practice was helpful, don't forget to click the like button. This is something that I like a lot. If you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, please do that too. Hi, everybody. Yeah. Okay, she's ready to go run. All right. See you next time. See you for the next practice. Thank you so much.